y'all. So now that we are all firmly obsessed with the Land of Oz again, I just wanted to share my favorite adaptation of the Oz books, because you know there are 14 books in total of that series, and I feel like there's always something missing out of almost every adaptation, obviously, because it's an adaptation. But anyway, back in 2017, there was a series called Emerald City. And it only lasted one season. I was very devastated. I was so devastated by it. And it was definitely one of my favorite adaptations, mostly because where I think other adaptations tend to fail is that, yes, there's a lot of characters, but they just leave out so many, or they make composites of all of them. Like, they leave out all of the cardinal witches. They leave out north, south, east, and west. Mostly focus on, north. Glinda in the books is actually the Good Witch of the South, and then they kind of make her a composite of north and south and just call her north. And then east and west. So in this, we don't get all four witches in this one either, but you get a better idea of how they existed maybe together, at least in this adaptation, because there's like opium dens and sex and violence and all of those things. Now, I don't remember all 14 books. I think I may have read The Wizard of Oz and then The Marvelous Land of Oz, which I think is book 1 and 2. Because in this series, which only lasted one, I think it's mostly an adaptation of the first 2 books. Because the Dorothy in this, you do see her sucked into the tornado and her confrontation with East, and then you see her going on her journey. But this is why I'm saying it's the first 2 books, because then you meet Princess Ozma, and because that's the Princess of Oz. That's whose throne was usurped from the wizard, right? And she was put into hiding as a baby. I mean, if you don't know this, I'm sorry if this is a spoiler for you, but the books have been around since like 1925 or something. But anyway, Princess Ozma was in hiding, and while she was in hiding, she was turned into a boy as a baby. So he spends most of their life in their teenage years thinking they're a boy, and then when they find out that they're the princess, they give consent to the witches to turn them back into a princess, right? And I think the reason why that this show got canceled after 1 season, because there's still a lot of like people who have issues with trans people, and I think that it was one of those things that people attribute to being a trans story. If that's your story, you identify with it that way, bam, 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 good for you. I love that for you. It is a story about transformation and hiding and everything like that. And I also think people were able to separate that. And so, again, the show ended up being canceled. And also, too, every time there is some kind of adaptation, with I think with the exception of Wicked, like now, I think back then when the book came out, people were pissed about that changes and everything. People were like, oh, this isn't the Wizard of Oz I grew up with. I'm like, first of all, if you actually read any of the books besides the first book, this is the story you grew up with sex, drugs, and violence. But currently, like I said, the show is on Peacock right now. I was so excited when I saw, so I'm starting to do another rewatch of it. I already know, the thing about shows that you really enjoyed knowing that they ended after like 1 or 2 seasons, you can to avoid rewatching them, to avoid that disappointment. But for me, the show was so good. So maybe if people start watching it again, show like a resurgence of it, maybe we'll get another adaptation that will follow more of the books, and we're going to get more than just the Wizard of Oz adaptations that we kept getting, and we'll get the rest of the Oz series. You with me? I like it. You're going to love it. So definitely comment below. Peacock, do it.
You don't have to be perfect to be amazing.